Oh, excited to host. I mean, this is absolutely great for our players to be able to play in front of their home crowd. I couldn't be more proud of them in the run that we've made these last couple of weeks. I mean, they absolutely deserve this opportunity to be able to host and play at home and, make a great run through the NCAA tournament.
Chris?
Coach, not just from a competitive standpoint, but to have Columbia, Missouri as one of 16 places in the country. I mean, what does that mean to bring that to this community?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's everyone's dream to have an opportunity to host. Just so excited for our fan base, our players, the parents, being able to travel into Columbia. And we just know the excitement that we had last year playing at home and the crowd and the fan support. It just makes such a huge difference in the atmosphere. I mean, when you're playing and you have the crowd that's cheering you on and supporting you every step of the way, you have such a competitive advantage. So I'm just looking forward to packing that stadium and, going out there and having just a great weekend.
Gabe?
Yeah, Larissa, I think Brooks said midway through the season, they didn't expect to have this chance. I mean, was there a time where you thought this was out of reach, and did you talk to them at any point about it, or did you just go 1 week at a time?
No, clearly I was at Ole Miss and they all just reminded me of my team meeting that I had. We were actually counting games to make sure that we could get above 500 to have an opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament. And we needed 8 wins to make sure that we secured those 8 wins in order to be able to be above 500. And when we got that 8th win, they actually celebrated. We're going to be able to go to the show this year because it was really that sticky at that moment. And we had a team meeting at Ole Miss and I said, what are your goals this year right now? Because they have to change, because what the goals that we set in January, one of our goals was to win the SEC. And at that time we hadn't won an SEC game. So, we had to reevaluate what we were doing. And I said, you're not going to host. So let's put that out of the table. You're not hosting this year. We got to refocus on what we're trying to do. Let's first get above 500 so we can even have a shot to go. And then, the story had continued to be written.
Chanel?
Coach, with 8 seniors on your team, how special is it to just be able to bring them all back to Columbia and let them play here one more time?
It's so special. It's so huge. I mean, like you guys said, there's only 16 teams that have an opportunity to host. And for them to be able to continue to write their legacy and leave their mark on this program is huge. And, every single player within the program is learning from them and what they mean and the legacy that they're leaving. And this is continue to be part of it.
Ben?
Coach, I think you said sometime in the last couple of weeks that the key to this turnaround for your group was they stopped trying to be last year's team and started being this year's team. What's the key to kind of maintaining that mindset now as you get back into the postseason run and all those feelings and the atmosphere of last year?
It really starts with everybody starting a new season this weekend. And it doesn't matter who we're going to play. We have to focus on what we can control. The great thing is that we have our fan base on our side, to have that atmosphere and have that in our favor. And we want to make our stadium one of the toughest places to play in the country and make it really uncomfortable for our opponents. So we just need to continue to prepare ourselves and to look at what we need to do in order to be successful. And we have to focus on one game at a time. We have to focus right now on Missouri State. We cannot look ahead to look at Arizona because they are a higher seed. We have to really focus on Missouri State because they're a really quality team. And then when we take care of business in Missouri State, then we can move on to game 2. But we cannot speculate and look too far forward before we take care of one game at a time.
Chris?
Coach, you've talked a lot about the underdog mentality and how that's helped your team kind of in the middle and later portion of the season. How do you keep that, or do you keep that as a host team?
Yeah, and I've talked a lot with Coach Smith with Tiger Style about this. Most recently, before we went to Alabama, is how do you have that underdog mentality when you're one of the top seeds? And he just went into about treat it and talk to them about no one respects you. And to go out there and you have to prove to everybody that you deserve to win that game, that no one's going to give you a game. So those are the little individual battles that we need to compete at. And it's every single pitch. It's every single at bat. And treat it that the opponent doesn't respect you at all. And they're going to just try to take that away from you. So to keep that fire and keep reminding them of where we were a month ago and where we are right now and how we got there and what we need to do.
Ben,
Larissa, does seeing an in-state rival that Mizzou hasn't played in, I think, 8 years, does that add a little extra juice to a first-round matchup in regionals?
I know it definitely will for them. We played Missouri State in the fall. We have not played them in the spring. So we do have a little bit of familiarity, but I mean, absolutely. Those in-state rivalries are some of the toughest rivalries ever. I mean, especially when we play those midweek games, I feel more pressure in those midweek games against an in-state rivalry than I do in some of our conference opponents. Without a doubt. I mean, I know that they would like nothing better to come into our house and ruin it for us. So we have to realize that they're going to have an unbelievable amount of energy, and we have to have more energy than they have coming into our own place.